What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS early look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all social media platforms above. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we go live. You don't miss out on any of the DFS content we put out here. We cover multiple sports. We got a PGA stream coming up later for those of you getting down on some PGA action. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. So stick around. Hit the like button if you guys haven't already. Really helps us out. Goes a long way. That'll be a theme of the show. You'll hear me saying that throughout. We didn't hit our goal of 100 likes on the Wise stream yesterday, but we got close. You guys tried. I'm in a pretty good mood. So it's not available yet, but after this show, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to make the projections free for FanDuel and DraftKings today. So keep in mind they update throughout the day, so you're going to download them and use them as late as possible if you plan on using them. But I will make those projections free. So again, it doesn't look like what you see on the screen. This is a visual for you guys, but the actual numbers themselves, the actual projections in a table format you could download them, upload them into an optimizer, whatever it is that you want to do. So we'll do that because I know you guys tried. And I know Paulie was a little relieved because his feelings would have been hurt if the like goal was hit for that, but not for his personal request the other day. So all in all. But next time we need to hit those goals. We gotta do whatever it takes. Share the video, whatever it is to hit those goals. Frosty Freeze 11 says, "Make me money." I feel you. Let's go. You guys need to make me some money too. It works both ways. Money Cash Dollars says, "What's up? What's going on?" As we get some of these people piling in. Yesterday, after a really good day the day before, yesterday wasn't great for me. I think I was grateful to win back what I did. It was just wrong on a lot of stuff. It happens. Tournament life, right? You take chances on certain people, and sometimes you're rewarded, sometimes you're not. I was underweight on Levine and Aldridge. They were both really chalky, so I was trying to get a little different. We had a lot of studs on the slate, a lot of different ways to get different and unique, and so I took a shot, and that didn't work. But those of you that did play enough Levine and Aldridge, it was the right move. So tip of the cap to you, mi amigos. Rico Smith says 300 don't cut it no more in DFS. Yeah, you know what it is, man. To be honest, and like this is like a big thing for me of some strategy I had to change a little bit, and last night was a perfect example of it. Not to say that like you guys have to play chalk when there's chalk. I'm not saying that like you have to, right? Like you've got to play chalk or you're gonna lose. But the bigger skill in a lot of things, like locating the top plays, is something that with projection models everywhere, the field is getting a little better with, right? Identifying. That's why the chalk, like Levine last year. Maybe Levine last year would have been, 30% owned and considered chalk, right? In this particular situation, he was 60% owned in some of these tournaments, something like that, 50 to 60% owned, just massive chalk. So because of that, it makes a bigger impact if you're wrong on something like that. So I think like it's not about chalk still busts, obviously. It still happens, right? DeAnthony Melton, perfect example of that. He's on the slate again today. Chalk still busts. It's just making the determination on what is good chalk, what is bad chalk, trying to factor in the ownership, but also like be a little more strict with your decisions. Like, is there a clear path? Like Boucher was pretty popular the other day. We know Boucher is not a guy they typically put in the rotation a ton, right? We saw he wasn't starting, so that at that point we knew the minutes weren't guaranteed. So the probability just goes down and down and down. That makes sense. Last night, I went the back-to-back route, and Aldridge started off like 3 for 13 from the field. He just had a ton of rebounds. And the bottom line is without DeRozan, that was the main difference between the last back-to-back and this one. Without DeRozan, the usage is just too high to pass up. So you just kind of make mental notes of that in case you're ever in that situation again. Money Cash Dollar says, "CK, did you like my J Rich play?" Absolutely, man. He did the dirty, man. I wish I had a little more of him. I had some of him. I didn't have enough, but yeah, man. 3,800 did the dirty against the Clippers. He's got good history against them too, so that was nice. But anyway, we have a big slate to get to, real big slate to get to. Rico, I totally understand, man. It's the field's. I don't want to say I don't want to use the cop out of the field is a little sharper. The field is getting sharper, but it's true. I mean, think about it. Think about how much content you guys get, you can get in general. Now that you couldn't get even last year or the year before, whatever. So that definitely plays a piece. You got to be a little sharper, and that's why we preach the mass multi-entry approach. That's why we harp so hard on the projections, and I put so much time and effort into these things because I truly believe that's the way to be successful. And you don't have to have massive amounts of bankroll to do the MME stuff. Maybe you can't MME the $15 donkey with 100K up top, but you can start off, whether it's on FanDuel with the 5-cent contests, you can start off and build your way and work your way up. And if you're able to work your way up from that small of a bankroll and those small contests into the next step, a little bit of a bigger contest, then it's like a little sample for you to see, oh, you know what, maybe I can be successful and eventually build myself up to that point. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to be smart about your approach. Don't step up too early. But getting comfortable with MME, understanding how it works, understanding probabilities and all that kind of stuff, it really does go a long way. I'm not saying you have to do that. I mean, you could have fun and just build teams by hand, no doubt. And some people are really, really good at that, or cash games. If that's your thing, that's fine too. But if you want to be successful in tournaments, not saying you have to do mass multi-entry, but your odds will increase, right? Simple as that. You're going to have more ground covered. You'll be able to take stronger stands in the plays you like. So, this is my 2 cents. With that said, let's go ahead and get into these games. So, I got to turn one of these lights down, man. It's just killing me. All right. We've got the Hawks visiting the Cavs. Right. Let's get these Vegas odds refreshed and updated for you guys. See what we got here. So we have a 234.5 total, which is actually up from 233, so it's up 1.5 points. The Hawks are currently 2-point favorites on the road. They opened up as 1-point favorites. I believe Kevin Love is questionable. Atlanta's working with a day off. They are in the midst of a 4-6 stretch, but they've had a day off. Cleveland has had 2 days off. Should be nice and rested. Starting off with the Atlanta side, so in the last game we did see some of the minutes come down. It wasn't a blowout. They hung in there and they scored a lot of points as a team. But I think Trae Young got like 34 minutes, and we know he's normally around 37 at least, typically in a close game. That wasn't the case. John Collins didn't play the extended minutes that we saw, so we did kind of see it. I do expect it to go back to that because that's just normally how they play. So I think Trae Young is definitely an option and a great matchup against Cleveland, who's terrible against point guards. Cleveland is not a fast team, but they make up for it with their lack of defense. And obviously Atlanta's going to push the pace. Kevin Huerter on FanDuel is 4,900 still. He was another one that saw a little bit of a minute decrease. I might even have him projected too low in terms of minutes. He's been playing big ones, but I know Cam Reddish is back. I expect him to start eating away a little more. Dwayne Dedmon's played a lot. In the overtime game, he did end up getting like 28 or something like that. But against Orlando, we played another 28, and he's been playing well since he's been on Atlanta. So they'll need him on the court, I would imagine, against Drummond. I mean, they do have Damian Jones, and but I think that there's a reason they got Dedmon. I think they think that he's the better option. So with Andre Drummond on the other side, I think Dedmon's going to play a pretty good amount. If he can keep his hands to himself, he can stay out of foul trouble. Could be interesting. I wish he would get a little over 30, like in an overtime game. I would have liked him to have gotten over the 30 mark just to see how much he would have played in that scenario. But in the meantime, he was playing decent minutes by the time he left Sacramento, and they've been playing him decent minutes now. But that's pretty much it on that side. On the Cleveland side, they're getting paced up here. Kevin Love is questionable. If he's out, Larry Nance is supposed to start. He's 5-1 on DraftKings, 45 on FanDuel. I'm cool with Nance. Keep in mind, Drummond is down there. I think Drummond's interesting on DraftKings at 9,400. We've got him at 33.5 minutes. I mean, I think they're going to try to see what Drummond's got and just kind of let him roll. He's got a 1-year option for next year, a player option that he supposedly is expected to take. So I think Cleveland, that was the reason they traded for him, is to see what do we have with him and possibly see if they give him an extension based off what they have. They have like a year to decide, right? Or they could trade him at the trade deadline next year. So either way, I think they're going to audition him for the rest of this season. Just give them something to do, right? Give them something to monitor. If Kevin Love is out, Kevin Porter Jr. could see even more minutes. He's already projected as a decent value play. We might give him a little boost if Kevin Love is out. He might play a little bit more because we know the usage at least is going to be there. Colin Sexton, his price has come down on FanDuel a little bit. We know he's played massive minutes and the usage has been good in this new scenario. Still got to see how he meshes and how he plays with Drummond, because Sexton's never really been, like, he's been more of a getting there by shots and scoring himself. So we'll have to see, but things to keep an eye on here with injuries. The Cleveland side of the ball is not looking so bad, so if they were to get boost because Kevin Love was out, they would actually start looking pretty damn good, I think. And that's a little worrisome, right? It is Cleveland. Who wants to roster Cleveland, seriously? But there's a couple guys that we may have to revisit because their prices matched up with the pace spot and the high total game. 234.5, man. It's high, you know? So we'll come back, revisit during the Y stream. Going to Detroit and Orlando. So we go from a 234.5 total game to a 207.5 total game. The total did rise 2 points, opened up at 205.5, but it's still 207.5. Both these teams play relatively slow. The Magic are currently 7.5 point favorites at home. Detroit's had a day off, and they're in the midst of a 4-6. Orlando's had a day off as well. So nothing crazy with the schedule. Detroit is expecting Derrick Rose and Svi Mihajlovic back. So I don't know what kind of minutes they're expected to play, but they are expected to be back. I've got them in for like limitations. I got Rose at around 24, which is probably even aggressive. I would assume if he missed this much time and he's got an injury track record, especially because the All-Star breaks come. I don't even know why they're bringing it back. They're not officially in, but they are probable. Maybe just to get one last game in before the All-Star break. I don't know, but I still anticipate Reggie to play big minutes, and I anticipate his usage to be good. Obviously, when Rose is on the court, it may not be as high, but I think that they'll split Reggie and Rose a little more, especially if Rose is limited. Christian Wood, I still expect to play big minutes at the 4. In the last game, I know that he didn't. Him and Reggie both didn't really see a ton of minutes. It was a weird game, very ugly, very low scoring against Charlotte. And that could be a similar situation to today. Maybe they'll be a little more efficient, but I think Christian Wood is actually an option. His price dropped significantly on FanDuel. He's still kind of expensive at 7.4. But we know he's got the double-double upside. He was really aggressive in the first 2 games. And curious to see how he plays with a Christian Wood, if he does it all, if they're on the court at the same time at any point. I don't know if they're going to start Rose. I assume he's coming off the bench because I think that's what they anticipated for Rose, to keep his minutes down. They know if you start Rose, you're going to end up playing him over 30 minutes, and obviously they don't want to do that. So that's what I would assume. Svi coming back could affect Bruce Brown. Rose coming back could affect Bruce Brown. Thon Maker's actually been balling. John Henson's there. You never know when he's going to get more. Markieff Morris off the bench is very, very cheap. You can keep an eye on him. As of right now, we have him at about 19 minutes, which isn't anything great because they're not as thin as they were. We were going after Detroit a lot because they were super thin, but they just got 2 bodies back potentially that could affect others. But I still think Reggie Jackson and Christian Wood, and maybe even Thon Maker, I guess. I don't like that price. I ain't getting there. But Wood and Jackson, we should probably analyze closely as the day goes on. On the Magic side, nobody really stood out to me on a projection level, right? Like, they're a team that they only play a couple guys big minutes if they have to, and that's Vooch and Gordon, maybe Fournier at times. But Markelle Fultz, 30 to 31 is seems to be a max point. Michael Carter-Williams, when he's cheap, I'm usually interested because he's got a high point per minute average in general, but without any injuries and at this price, it's kind of hard to see it going. Aaron Gordon's got the upside. 6'9" on DraftKings, they make it a little difficult. I mean, we've got some flexibility with him. We could raise him to 35. He's done it. It's just Orlando does, despite the fact that they're missing people, they still play. They still find ways to play their guys less minutes. But they're fine. Fournier, Terrence Ross, very scoring dependent, but when he gets hot, he's got upside. I'm just not excited. I mean, I think the Detroit side I'm a little more interested in. And it's really just Christian Wood and maybe Reggie Jackson. But on this side, I'm not all that into it. I mean, Vooch coming off a really good game, matchup-wise, against Thon Maker. It sounds pretty good to me. He's just expensive now, 9K, 9.4 on FanDuel. I'm just not digging the pricing, I guess, for the situation that they are in, if you know what I mean. Auto chalk on Nance will yeah. If Nance if Love gets ruled out, Rico, I agree. I think Nance becomes pretty chalky at that point. Let's go on to the next. What we got? We got Washington and the Knicks. Should be good. This should be a fun one. So we've got a 230.5 total, which for the Knicks is pretty high. It's actually up 2 points from 228.5. The Knicks opened up -2.5. They're up to -3. Obviously, this is a back-to-back for Washington. They are in the midst of a 4-6 stretch. The Knicks have had 2 days off since that double overtime game against Atlanta. They had that double OT game, but then they've had 2 days off. So they're in a little bit of a better situation. Starting with Washington, Mo Wags continues to be cheap. He got 27 minutes last night. Still didn't deliver what his projection, at that amount of minutes tells us he should have gotten. A little disappointing. As a matter of fact, why? Like, what did he do? Let's look at you, Wags. Usage rate was 17.3. Was 5 for 7. Didn't take a lot of threes. Didn't have a lot of boards. Only 3 boards. Against Chicago, a steal and a block. So 12 points, a steal, a block, 3 rebounds and 2 assists. So I guess the usage just wasn't as high as he's had at other times. The rebounds are a big one. He needs the rebounds. He's considered a big. He needs those rebounds. But it's the Knicks. We've seen them inconsistent against centers, against bigs in general. Troy Brown's very cheap. His minutes were down yesterday, but someone to keep an eye on for tournaments and value. I think Ish is okay. I'm still kind of waiting for Shabazz to eventually overtake him, but for now, Ish is getting the minutes. He's in that role. It doesn't project bad. Hachimura, keep an eye on him because he played big minutes yesterday. He obviously just came back from an injury, so just keep an eye. If he does play, I don't know how many minutes to expect him to play. I think he played more. They were pretty aggressive with him out the gate, but he got 32 last night. And like I said, they were aggressive with him right out the gate. I think his first game back, he played 26, then 29, 25, 32. So maybe he's fine. I got him projected for 30 just in case. But just keep an eye. If he gets ruled out, that could open up more value, like Troy Brown and those guys, and Mo Wags and Davis Bertans, who didn't get a lot of minutes yesterday. Something to keep an eye on. One thing I did notice, if everybody's healthy, Bradley Beal's played 34 minutes in 2 straight games, and last night was a night where Chicago did come back enough to where he could have gotten more. So just something, maybe if they're trailing, he stays in the game. Maybe that's how this works. If the Knicks are favored, so maybe that's what this is. But normally I have Beal for 38, 39 minutes, something like that. But because he's been playing around 34, I got him at 36 because I don't want to just assume he's going to continue to play 34. If they're trailing, I could see them leaving in the game. They were winning most of the game yesterday, so. I think they felt comfortable dictating how much he played. But if they're trailing and they are underdogs on the road on a back-to-back, then maybe they do leave him in for that 38, 39 minutes again. So we'll come back and revisit that as well. But aside from that, man, Shabazz you could take a shot with if you want. He's cheap. He's only getting 19, 20 minutes or so. But you could take a shot. Mo Wags, like I said, someone will have to look at his projection. I think it's only 22.5 I have him for. He's still projecting well because of what he did earlier in the season, but we'll come back. Next up, what do we got here? The Knicks, that's right. All right, so Mitch Robinson played a lot of minutes against Atlanta and played really well. Still reluctant to give him a lot of minutes as the Knicks are just weird with that, but this is a great spot for him. So if there was ever a spot for me to give him a boost, it'd probably be this one against Washington. RJ Barrett's really cheap, man. I'd love to play him, but he seems to be on a fairly strict minutes limit. That game went to 2 overtimes, and they didn't really budge on his minutes. They've had a couple of days off. I don't know if that has anything to do with it as far as his injury, but he played 21 minutes his first game back. No, I'm sorry. He played 18 minutes his first game back. 21, then 22. So it is gradually increasing, just not enough. But he is really cheap. So if we get word or if we think he may play a little bit more, then, just a couple more minutes and he's viable. If he had full run, he'd project to be one of the top players on the slate at this price. Elfrid Payton's price continues to be high. He's playing really well, but unfortunately, he's not. The overtime game, he got a lot of minutes, but outside of the overtime stuff, he's getting around 30-31 because Frank Nitti and DSJ are around. RJ Barrett, they're all kind of around at this point. So it's affecting his minutes, but with Marcus Morris gone, his usage has been up. And he's been efficient in general. Julius Randle is one that's going to take us some time to get the projections caught up. I'm going to have to over project him a little bit minutes-wise just to make up for Marcus Morris being out. We know his usage is massive. I thought he was overpriced in the last game against Atlanta, and he obviously ended up doing well. But that game did go to 2 overtimes, so just keep that in mind. But the Knicks are going to get paced up, man. I think I'll have to make some adjustments here because once again, because of the pricing, they're not projecting well. But you have to consider they are in a pace-up matchup at home, and they're favored in a high total game. And the last time they were in this situation against Atlanta, the game went to 2 OTs, and I didn't have enough. So I'll be making a conscious effort to make sure that if I end up without any, it's on purpose. It's something I'm fully aware of because we'll have to see what we have to do. But I do think that they're a little overpriced outside of like Mitch Robinson, RJ Barrett, some of the more riskier plays whose minutes we don't really know a ton about. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Pacers. So Giannis was out the other day, right? He had a congrats to him, birth of a child. And so Bledsoe and Middleton and all these guys and Illy they were all chalk. They all did well, all three of them. Bledsoe, I mean, Illy barely got there. He got lucky. He got some foul trouble in the beginning, but he ended up getting there enough at his price. Bledsoe and Middleton balled out, just went nuts. Just had an awesome game. The prices on them have risen. Middleton's 8-8. And I'm not going to ignore him necessarily. You can see I have 36 minutes apiece. That's just a little boost for Giannis being out. I know that they're more realistically looking at about a 34-minute max based off of what we've seen the trend. And on top of that, they're playing the Pacers, a team that plays a little slower, a team that plays some defense. They're playing against Malcolm Brogdon, who's one of their better defenders, and they elected not to re-sign. So it's not as enticing. DiVincenzo, obviously another value option, did not do well last game, but we expect George Hill to be out again. So he could still play around 26 minutes, and he could do well if he's more efficient. Middleton's 8-8, and I'm curious. And on FanDuel, you're kind of stuck. On FanDuel, you might have to play him again, like no matter, because they're probably going to be chalk over there. The way that their prices are, right? You've got 6-7 for Bledsoe over there, 7-2 for Middleton. Ilyasova's 4-1, so FanDuel didn't bother to move it. So those three guys are still heavily in play over there and will be very popular because of the situation. The thing to consider, again, matchups, different matchup, playing the Pacers, different team, right? Different situation, different defense, different pace. Not the same as the Kings situation. But on FanDuel, they are very cheap. Expect them to be highly owned. Therefore, you're going to have to make a decision. It'd be a conscious decision if you're overweight, underweight. On DraftKings, though, I'm curious to see where they come in ownership-wise. At least 4-8, Bledsoe 7-7, Middleton 8-8. Bledsoe a little easier to reach at 7-7, but Middleton at 8-8 is going to be tough to reach. However, he just went for 57 DraftKings points, and he's been phenomenal every time. I mean, even with Giannis on the court lately, he's been awesome. So, that should be fun to decide. We'll see if that takes ownership today. Now, I assume it will on FanDuel, DraftKings. I don't really know. On the Pacers side of the ball, I think Malcolm Brogdon is very interesting, projects well on both sites. Jeremy Lamb is 3,800. I didn't even notice that on FanDuel. I mean, his minutes have been cut with Depot back, but he's still getting like 26 minutes and change. I mean, 38 is really, really low. I know on FanDuel that you're sacrificing something if you're playing him because of how the positions work, but 38 is pretty cheap. Wow. He's 5K on DraftKings. I don't really want much to do with him there. Brogdon would be my favorite in this situation. Obviously, there's a revenge narrative, but more importantly, I just think he's still too cheap. With Oladipo back, his usage has been a little inconsistent, so I am aware of that. But it's a situation where they're playing Milwaukee. They're going to be paced up. I think they'll need him on the court with Bledsoe out there and, Brogdon's defense and all that stuff. So I think that Brogdon will get 30. I got him for 32.5, not a full 33. But he projects really well for us. And I do like Brogdon quite a bit. I think TJ Warren's close. I don't mind TJ Warren. He's a little scoring dependent these days. I mean, he always kind of has been, right? But he does shoot a lot. Again, with Oladipo back, not sure how this is all working out. Oladipo has been aggressive. He just has been making a lot of buckets. Depot on FanDuel is 5K. It's okay. He projects a little higher for us on DraftKings. Man, that FanDuel projection is not correct. I think we have him for 27 over there, so have to make some adjustments. But on DraftKings at 4.8, we haven't projected well. You know what the deal is, man. The usage is there. He's just not been efficient. He's got a 28-minute limit. I don't see why they would raise that in the last game before the All-Star break when they said that they wouldn't raise it before the All-Star break. So he's fine as a value option. He's got the upside. We know he can do it. The usage is there. Like if you took his numbers from last year, he projects through the roof at this price, even in 28 minutes. But that's last year. This year, we're trying to find a middle ground because his point per minute average this year has been really low. And again, it's not the usage. The usage is strong. It's his efficiency. He hasn't been very efficient. But that game that he has where he is, he's going to easily go for it. So I'm into Oladipo again. Miles Turner got punked last game, and he was playing really well, and they didn't even let him close. It's crazy. Sabonis went nuts. Like Sabonis just went like triple-doubled, I think. He went nuts. And he's in that spot today. With no Giannis, they're going to have their hands full with Sabonis down low. So keep that in mind. One other thing, Marvin Williams is a member of the Milwaukee Bucks now. I'm not sure that ties into Illy and these guys, but just something to throw out there. As far as Sabonis goes, 8-1 on FanDuel, man. I'm cool with that. I got no problems with 8-1 on FanDuel. 9-8 on DraftKings, a little expensive. But we'll see how the positions work out. We'll see how raw points come into effect. But Sabonis is kind of hard to project minutes-wise. When he doesn't do well, when he's not playing as efficiently, they'll play him like, 28 or so minutes. When he's playing like out of his ass, they play him like 38, so it's kind of hard to gauge. But we got him at 37, kind of a median. And on FanDuel, he still looks strong. So keep that in mind. Let me just check one thing right quick. Check one thing, and then we'll continue. Okay, now we're good. All right, let's move on to the next. Pop in the chat, say what's up, say what's up. Paulie D's in the chat. Paulie D's in the chat. What's wrong? It's fix the camera focus. What's wrong with the camera focus? Is it was my face doing that color thing because of the lighting in here? Paulie D in the house. Dame. Today is Dame God Day. Dame to go. Dame holla. Dame do thy dirty Lillard. I like it. I like it when Paulie's enthusiastic. I'm with it. We'll talk about Dame in a second when we get to him. Is he next? I don't think he's next. No, he's not next. We got Toronto, Milwaukee next. If you haven't hit the like button, guys, hit that like button. Money Cash Dollar says Barrett for 6x, Lamb for 6x. Is blurry? Is everybody? If you're in the chat, let me know. Does everybody have any the blurry issue? Because from what I see on the program and everything. Darius says, "Good looking on that Kobe White advice." Holla, Kobe White ball. Paulie had a lot of Kobe White. Paulie was close, man. Paulie had the same issue as me. He went underweight on the chalk, but the difference is some of the lower owned plays he had balled. It was just again, Levine and LMA that hurt. But he had a lot. Kawhi Leonard low had a lot of him doing dirties. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We'll get into it with the next game. We've got Toronto and Brooklyn. Toronto and Brooklyn. Here we go. Let's go. Mike Davis says, looks good, not blurry. Frosty Freeze 11 has the thumbs up. Money Cash Dollars, maybe try refreshing it or something. Maybe a connection thing. Because, again, on the program, usually it'll tell me all that stuff. It'll tell me if the connection's weak or something on mine, and it looks fine. All right, so we got Toronto. Right. Toronto, we have a 223.5 total. These teams just played a couple days ago. They had a game in between, or at least Toronto did. 223.5 total. Brooklyn's home this time. Last time the game was in Toronto. Toronto with 3.5-point favorites on the road, as you would expect. Both teams have had a day off. 4 and 6 stretch for Toronto. Just a simple day off for Brooklyn. All right, so we're going to start off with Toronto, the road team, as we do. Fred VanVleet on FanDuel. I like that price, 6-7. Lowry, we're expecting to play. Obviously, he's back. Ibaka's the big question mark. Last time Ibaka missed their last game with an illness, and his whole team balled, right? Like Kyle Lowry went nuts. Siakam went nuts. OG went just crazy. Even Rondae Hollis-Jefferson balled. A lot of these guys did well, and we'll be looking for a similar situation if Ibaka's out again. Lowry's price is a little more expensive. Siakam a little more expensive. OG a little more expensive. Well, a lot more expensive. OG was $3,900 that day. Chris Boucher was really popular with Ibaka out, and he still didn't get any run. He got like 6 minutes in the first half, maybe like another 6 in the second. They just, I guess they just didn't see him fitting there. But anyway, if everybody's healthy, I think VanVleet on FanDuel is cool. Lowry on FanDuel, I don't mind at 7-3. Ibaka, I'm good with on both sides. I think Ibaka is fine against Brooklyn if he's playing. As far as OG goes, I would prefer Ibaka to be out. It's simple. Because when Ibaka's in there, he's getting like 29 minutes or so, right? When Ibaka was out, he got like 30 something, and that was big. He was the one that saw the big boost outside of Rondae Hollis Jefferson seeing a minutes boost. RHJ, if Ibaka's out, I'm willing to go back to. The usage looked good. We saw that the minutes look strong. They're playing Brooklyn. It's a revenge game for him anyway against his former team. So if Ibaka's out, I'm good. I'm ready to go back to RHJ, even though his price is up a little more. If Ibaka is in, then it's really Ibaka. And then most of my stuff will probably be on FanDuel with, or most of my interest would be on FanDuel with Van Fleet and Lowry, along with Ibaka. I'm Siakam on FanDuel is not terrible. I mean, he's got the upside. I just prefer someone to be out because, you know, I really thought this year that we would see him be like overly aggressive with Kawhi gone. And he has at times, but they're still playing a lot of team ball and all that. So usually it takes a guy to be out for him to get as aggressive as we want. But if there was a matchup for him to do dirties, it's Brooklyn, right? This is the right matchup. So I'm okay with them. On the other side, we got Brooklyn. So one thing I've noticed, Brooklyn is playing a little different right now. Over the last 2 games, they played things very differently. So, matter of fact, so they played the Nets in their last game, right? Spencer Dinwiddie got 35 minutes. Karis LeVert got 33 minutes. So number one, Dinwiddie, they are at least, it's good to see they're playing him more. And as you can see, we reflected that in his minute projection, which makes him a pretty decent play today, at least on DraftKings. We got him in for like 30, I think it's 35 and a half. And you got to keep, because, you know, for the minutes and also for the fact that Kyrie's out. But the weird thing is DeAndre Jordan got 28 minutes. He played really well against the Pacers. He got 28 minutes. And the game before that, this was this exact game. They played each other. And DeAndre Jordan got 29 minutes and went nuts. So evidently, he seems to be surpassing Jared Allen, who was struggling. So I think it makes sense. Kind of. But DeAndre Jordan is coming off the bench still. But he's closing games. So if you notice, I've got DeAndre Jordan projected for the minutes he's been getting lately. And I think I was still a little conservative. I think I might have given him 26 and a half. Let me see. What the fuck? What the hell? Alright, I'll just look this way then. DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, I got 26 and a half. So, I mean, I could maybe even lower it to 26 and still get enough of him. But he's somebody to keep an eye on, man. I mean, he just did it against this team again. He's been closing the last couple games. So evidently, Jared Allen, despite the fact that he's starting, and I wonder if people even noticed this. I'm not sure. I didn't notice it until I was doing these minutes today. So DeAndre Jordan, keep an eye on that, man. If Ibaka's out, they're gonna struggle against bigs. If Ibaka's out, they may not need him as much. So maybe this is the day they switch back. But what do we got? Karis LeVert, I do like on both sides. 33 minutes, we gave him a little bit of a boost just based off of the on FanDuel, we have him a little higher than that as well, I think. But the 5.77 is true. This is the numbers not showing up. I got to switch the columns that are visible over there. It's missing one extra column I added in. But yeah, on DraftKings, I like LeVert. I like the usage. I like the minutes. They're playing Toronto. Should be a competitive game. The usage for him and Dinwiddie have been great. So I do like those guys in this spot with DeAndre Jordan. Those are my 3 favorite plays here. Taurean Prince sneakily projecting well. We got him at 30 and a half minutes. He has been playing. He's not really getting more than 30 too much or very much over 30. Joe Harris is getting big minutes. He's obviously a little more scoring dependent. But the Brooklyn side, not bad. The Toronto side will have more interest in if on the Toronto side, I'm waiting for the Ibaka news, basically. Sorry, getting text messages from motherfuckers who should be not bothering me while I'm doing this shit. All right, let's see. Portland at Memphis. We got a 233.5 total, which is down from 235. Memphis opened up -4.5 to down to -3.5. For Portland, it's the back end of a back-to-back. They're on a 5-7 stretch. This is a really tough stretch in the schedule for them. Yeah, we knew that going in yesterday, and we talked about. I talked about the schedule obviously yesterday, and I just kind of overlooked, like, I didn't end up with too much Portland by the time it was all said and done. Just based off of by the time we did things, there were other people who projected better for us, whatever. But one thing we did talk about on the show, and I didn't really I'm not saying I recognized it, but I missed it, was we were just talking about how tough of a spot it was in the schedule for them. And we knew how good New Orleans was playing. I think New Orleans is a significantly better team than Memphis, to be clear. So I'm not saying it's going to be the same situation. I'm just saying that yesterday they were playing New Orleans, who was in a little bit of a better situation as far as schedule goes. We knew Portland had a game the next day. So these are all things we should have registered. We knew it was already a 4-6. We knew they had a game the next day. And they were on the road against a team that has been playing really well over the last, 10 games or so. So this situation, Memphis has a schedule advantage, 2 days rest. I know this is like the situation for Paulie that Paulie loves Dame. When they're typically, I believe it's like when they're, what? I'm going to pull it up and get it myself. So anytime he's an underdog against teams that defend bigs well in a game that should be close. And this game should be close. Even if Memphis wins, which, honestly, if I was going to bet this game, I'd bet on Memphis. I'd bet schedule-wise, especially assuming the public is on Portland. It's not really. It's kind of split. But I'm with Paulie on this one, man. I think this might be a Dame day. I could just see them relying on him. Whiteside's going to be down there, and Joe Val, they're going to play some minutes on the other side, I would assume, to try to keep Whiteside a little more in check. So this is going to be this, and we know that Memphis' biggest weakness this year has been the point guard. So this is a phenomenal spot for Dame. Could be tired, maybe some tired legs, but I think he's just going to take every shot he can. McCollum is also interesting. Memphis is a top 10 team in pace, so hence the 233.5 total. Both these teams are good teams to target in DFS typically. Memphis was disappointing in general against Washington, but both of those teams kind of were. Trevor Ariza for value I'm into. He's been playing big minutes. I anticipate that staying the same. Melo's price has gone up. I don't hate it. Don't love it. CJ McCollum I'm cool with. But really Dame is the one. I mean, Whiteside and Dame. Whiteside even against Joval just for rebounds, all that kind of stuff, pace. So I'm cool with Whiteside still. I still like him. He just projects well, bottom line. And Dame, man, I mean, this is a situation. His usage looks good. This is like the new Dame. He's just going to go out there and he's just going to take every shot he can and try to drain buckets and carry his team. This is the new Dame, the Dame era. So I do like Damian Lillard against Memphis quite a bit. And I know Paulie will, spoiler alert. Going on to the Memphis side of the ball, as always, they're a little tougher. DeAnthony Melton's been chalk for a couple slates now. Well, we're really just one slate, and he's been bad. I got him at around 21.5 minutes. He's playing anywhere from 21 to 23. He does have a high point per minute average, which is why he projects well every single day. But I'm trying to be cautious with him. He's still 4-1. He's playing Portland. They want him on there for his defense. His usage isn't really a problem. Even in that last game against Washington, he took like 12 shots. He just only made like 3 of them or something. He's having a really hard time. He's just cold, like from the field. He's just cold. He's having a hard time making shots. So yeah, I think that I think Melton's okay, but I'm not like, we obviously know the deal, but I do expect it to come around. I mean, this is a guy that can go for 25 to 30 DraftKings points in 24 minutes if he gets it. And the coach did mention he likes him for his defense, so it's possible that he sees. And obviously, if Dylan Brooks gets into foul trouble, if Kyle Anderson, who's been outplaying him right now, Kyle Anderson is the reason. His price is up, but Kyle Anderson's been outplaying Melton. Like, those are the two that are subbing in out for each other. So if Kyle Anderson gets into foul trouble for whatever reason, I don't really see it unless he's for whatever reason like having to cover Dame and some switches. I don't really see it happening against Ariza. He's not aggressive enough. But possibly we've seen Ariza is aggressive. He can draw some fouls. So we'll see. But I think Joe Val is interesting because they're going to need him on the court. He's 7'3" and 7'4". Again, I like to play Joe Val when there's a big on the other side that I feel like they're going to need him for. Because if the team can go small, we oftentimes see they will. But we saw against teams like when they played Drummond, things like that, the minutes were there and the usage was there, and he stepped up, had a good one. So I do like him. I don't mind John Morant coming off that triple-double, but on DraftKings, the price is up. The minutes are really inconsistent, man. He was playing 31 and 32 minutes, and out of nowhere they played him like 35 in that triple-double situation. So I would expect it to go back more towards the average of what he's playing minutes-wise. But on FanDuel, still okay at 6-7. DraftKings, a little tougher to reach. But I do like the Portland side of this game. I like Damian Lillard. No surprise. It's the rule. Paulie got the rule. What are you going to do? Right? Charlotte at Minnesota. Charlotte at Minnesota. So we've got a 228 total in this one. For Charlotte, that's massive. For Charlotte, that's a massive total. That's interesting. What the hell? I think Irv, our boy Irv, he skipped the game, bro. He skipped the schedule game on this one. Anyway, we'll go over the Vegas total. We got a 228 total. Minnesota, 8.5-point favorites, Minnesota. At home. 228-point total for a Charlotte game. That's interesting. And it's up 2 points from 226. Starting with the Charlotte side, Terry Rozier's price has fallen. It's really, really fallen. This is a really good matchup for guards between D'Lo, Beasley. None of these guys I'm really worried about defensively. So I like Rozier. I like Devontae Graham. Graham on FanDuel, easier to reach at 6'8". 7'4", a little tougher to reach. We've got some flexibility if we really want to max out. We can give him like a max at 36. And he would show up a little bit more in the projections. But Rozier's the one that's like you could really take advantage of. I know he's not playing well, and Graham is playing well. That's kind of the switch. They kind of rotate. Right now they're in a Graham phase. The last 2 games he's balling. Rozier's sucking. But we know that they go back and forth with that kind of stuff. And this is a matchup where they could probably both do it together just because they're playing Minnesota, a very fast-paced team who doesn't play very good defense. So I'm interested in Rozier for sure. Graham, I think my interest will grow throughout the day. I'm also interested in Malik Monk at 4,700, man. Like, I don't know. Like, they said they were trying to trade him, and that's why they were playing him more, but they're still playing him more. He's playing like 28 to 29 minutes a game. So I have some interest there in a pace-up spot against Minnesota in what should be a very high-scoring game. PJ Washington got big minutes last time out. Well, it's always tricky. He's going to play some 4. It's when he gets to play some 5 that things get interesting. So they got Cat down there. I'm not sure what they're going to elect to do with that, but he always projects well. He has a hard time hitting his projection, it seems, a lot of the time, but we know he's got upside in certain situations. So I think it's someone to keep an eye on. Cody Zeller, if they were going to play him, I'd be interested. It's just tough. You got the brother narrative with Willie Hernan-Gomez and Juancho Hernan-Gomez. I was talking about that last night in the late night. Yeah, got some of that. On the Minnesota side, D'Lo, the home debut. I love him on FanDuel at 7.6 on DraftKings. I'll probably, I could probably find ways to reach him. I think I got him at like a 30. Is it a 34? Maybe it is a 34 I got him at. What the hell is going on with this thing? I don't understand. Why is this shit locked? Getting locked out of my own shit. There we go. Let me see what I got Russell at. We got D'Lo. Yeah, I got him at a 34. I mean, it's the home opener, so I feel like they're going to try to get him excited and play him a little bit. This is a good matchup. The pace for Minnesota, they're obviously in a pace down spot. Charlotte, very slow, like crawling speed. So it's but they're terrible defensively. So I'm cool with D'Lo. Malik Beasley, I'm good with again. I mean, he's getting big minutes. He got even more minutes last game with D'Lo there. I don't expect him to take as many shots, but I still think he'll take enough. Karl Anthony Towns, smash spot. We got him for like 36 minutes. Could play a little more. We've seen him play up to 37 recently. Smash spot. Charlotte's terrible against centers. Not anticipating that changing for this matchup. Juancho Hernan-Gomez for value is interesting. He's been starting, but James Johnson's the one who's been projecting better. He had a good performance last time out. James Johnson, where you at? James Johnson, where you at? He played 28 minutes against Toronto. So Juancho still got his 26, so it didn't come from him. But I'll sift through Popcorn Machine later and be prepared. But this is 2 straight games that he's played well. 20 minutes against the Clippers, went for 31. Now, he got 28 against Toronto, only went for 20. He was just 3-4 that day, so it was still 6-6. Well, he's 3-5 today. So, if he's going to get anywhere from 20 to 28 minutes, like that's probably worth taking a shot on in tournaments at least, right? At 3-5. At 4-3 on FanDuel, maybe not, right? Or you got other guys that you're sacrificing. But on DraftKings, if you're just looking for a value play, it's kind of interesting, I think. And he projects really well for us right now. That's pretty much it for me there. Let's go to the next. We've got the Sacramento Kings and the Dallas Mavericks. We know Luka's supposed to be back, right? Sacktown, Sack City. What up, Will? Monk has been balling, yes indeed. Appreciate everybody who's joining us. If you could hit the like button, helps us out, goes a long way, allows us to continue to do dirty. So smash that like button. We are going to move on to the Kings and Dallas game. We've got a 224.5 total, down from 227.5. Interesting that this total has actually dropped 3 points. Dallas opened up and still is minus 8.5 at home. The Kings have had a day off. They're in a 4-6. Dallas has had a day off. They're in a 4-6. So on the Kings side, Bogdanovich projects well again because he's cheap. We got him at about 32. It may be aggressive, but in close games, they've all been playing. Their main dudes have been playing 30. And the way they've been doing it is they've been closing with a small lineup for the most part. I know in that blowout game against the Spurs, they closed with their backups for the most part and Buddy Hield. But what we've seen them really do is close with Bielitsa at the 5, Bogdanovich and Hield playing the 2 and 3, Fox at the 1, and like Barnes or someone at the 4. So that's what they've been doing. Jabari Parker's expected to be available. He almost played last time against Milwaukee, but he's expected to play this time. So I'm not sure how that's going to affect the minutes of between Barnes, Bielitsa, and all these guys that play the 4 and the 5. Jabari can play the 4 or the 5. Bielitsa's not really a 5, so not really sure what they're going to do with Jabari, how much he's going to play. I don't really know any of that. But Harrison Barnes has played really well. He's played big minutes. This is a revenge spot for him if you're interested in narrative. Bielitsa, man, I mean, he continues to be in that spot. Like, I'm cool with it. As long as he's going to continue to play the 4 and the 5, I'm just not sure how it's going to affect him. It does look like Giles has been getting a little bit more minutes, even if it's not like regular rotation minutes. It looks like he's at least past the 17 for a while. They weren't playing him more than 17 no matter what. But Bogdanovich projects well. I think De'Aaron Fox, is still too cheap on DraftKings at 7-7. So I'm good with some of these Kings, man. I don't mind. They've been playing tight rotations. Again, as guys get healthy, and we'll see after the All-Star break, shit's going to, be different because there's going to be guys who have been out that are coming back and teams won't be as thin. So it'd be like a reset almost. But Fox, I'm still cool with. It's really the Bielitsa that I'm worried about. And I would love to play him in this matchup. But just a little worried about, Jabari and now between Jabari and Giles, because Dallas does have size. With Porzingis down there, Kleber, Colley. It's not like massive bigs that are like dominant, but it's literal tall players. They're just tall. You know what I mean? So like Bielitsa could hang with them dudes. Giles could, but they just might need him on the court. But maybe Jabari is. But Fox and Bogdanovich I do like. Buddy Hield's always like a wild card thing. When he's cheap, I'm cool with it. Like on FanDuel, on DraftKings at 6.5, a little more risky. But his usage on the second unit's been awesome, and he's been closing anyway for the most part. Unless he's playing like dog shit. On the Dallas side, with Luka expected to be back, we don't know how many minutes he's going to get. He's 9-7 on FanDuel. I would assume he's going to be like somewhere around 30, 31, but I'm not sure. If they say there's no limitation, we'll jack him up a little bit. He's going to project a whole lot better on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, he's 10-9. That's cheap for him. Does it take him a game to get into things a little bit? Not really sure. We've never really seen. I've never really seen him miss this much time and come back. But obviously, he's going to affect everyone else. He's going to affect Porzingis. Maybe not from. I would assume that Porzingis' minutes go down a little bit because he's been playing like 36 a game. They know he's injury prone, coming back from an injury. I think the only reason he was getting that many minutes is because they felt like they needed him with Luka out. If Luka's back in, I think he goes back not to 30 like he was doing before Luka. He was limited back then. I think maybe like 33, 34, something like that. Maybe like 2 or 3 minutes they scale back, right? So Luka, we got to get more information on. As far as the other guys, it kind of messes it up with Luka being here. Finney Smith is still cheap on FanDuel. Kleber's really cheap on FanDuel, but we don't know how much he's going to play. Hardaway on FanDuel is somewhat cheap, but again, the usage could be affected. You don't want to necessarily overreact to everything, but they also have Michael Kidd-Gilchrist now, who we have projected for around 13 minutes. Not sure if that's a thing or not. But so until we get more information, it's kind of hard to get excited about anything here. Next up, we've got the Miami Heat visiting the Utah Jazz. Let's take a look here. The Miami Heat have had a day off. They're in a stretch of a 4-6. Utah also had a day off. They're also in a stretch of a 4-6. We know the Heat have been on this West Coast road trip. We have a 216.5 total, which is just unpleasant. I think it's the lowest. No, second lowest. I'm sorry. I can't forget about Detroit. Orlando's 207 or whatever it is. 207. But we've got a 216.5 total. Not great. And that's down from 217.5. Miami's been playing really, really slow lately. Don't see a ton that stands out on the Miami side. Crowder's kind of interesting. His price is up, but they threw him right out there, and he's been balling, man, since he got here. He's been really aggressive. He's getting boards. He's playing with high energy. I guess he's happy to be here. Happy to be on a playoff contender. I mean, I'm not to diss Memphis. I think Memphis currently has a spot or something like that. But yeah, he seems pumped or something. Maybe the system just works out better for him. But I don't know. Butler's okay. Nothing really stands out. The pricing is just meh. The game is just meh. And this could be one of those games where it goes to overtime. You can't really predict that. It goes to OT and screws you. But without that, there's just not a ton. I mean, Butler would be my first option. Dragic's okay, but with Butler back, we know the usage is down a little bit. Right? He projects the best, believe it or not. Kendrick Nunn's minutes have been down. He's 4,100 on FanDuel. Holy shit, I didn't notice that. My bad. I didn't notice Kendrick Nunn was 4,100 on FanDuel. That's probably a little too cheap. His minutes were down last game. He hasn't been playing. I mean, he's been their starter, right? That is really cheap. I didn't notice he was that cheap on FanDuel. Now, on DraftKings, what is he, like 5-1? Which isn't bad. He got 23 minutes against Golden State in a close game. He was 2 for 13. 27 minutes against Portland in a close game. He was 4 for 18. So it was like a gradual decrease. Crowder's been here. I mean, he was just playing 34 and 35 minutes not too long ago. So this price might be too low for him. We might have him a little too conservative on the minutes, maybe overreacting. On FanDuel, especially at 4,100, that's wild. But we'll dig in and see. One thing I'll say about Nunn is the usage has been fine, man. Even against Golden State with Butler back, 27, 28, 28. The usage is solid, man. Like, that's too low. I mean, 27 and 23 minutes. I'm gonna look into why. Maybe it's because Butler was back. They decided that, like, I mean, it's Portland. I know Dragic was doing dirties, and maybe Crowder is somehow affecting his minutes because they're having to force him out because they got Duncan Robinson out there, right? I think Tyler Hero could be. Is Tyler Hero back? No, Tyler Hero's out again. We have him out anyway. We'll have to pay attention to that. But I don't know. They want Duncan Robinson out there to hit the three. I guess Dragic and Butler that's really what it is. Between Duncan Robinson, Dragic, and Butler, that's really the deal. So Dragic's been hurting them. But Nunn's price is really low, man. On FanDuel 4-1, on 5-1 on DraftKings is still interesting for the usage. 27, 28, 28. It's up there. I don't know. Something to consider. On the Utah side, man, Donovan Mitchell he is just unbelievable. The way he I consider him to be a good player. He is a good player, and I like Mitchell, man. You know, always wearing the Met jerseys, my dude. But very disappointed in his instability. Like, you know, he's not consistent. Inconsistency, I mean, he's so inconsistent. He's 6'7" on FanDuel, daring you to play him. 7-3 on DraftKings is decent, especially if Conley's out. I expect him to be back. I think that was a rest thing, but I heard he was sick too. If Conley's in, he's probably my favorite of the bunch. I think Gobert's price has come down to a point where we can really look. He's playing big minutes again, like 37, 36, 37. Clarkson, I prefer, at these prices, I prefer someone to be out like Conley or something, but I did up shares of him. I late swapped some shares of him when Conley got ruled out after lock that day. One of the strengths of DraftKings is you have the ability to do that, and he played extremely well. He fouled out, man. I finished 9th that day in a $4.20 entry, and I thought he was going to take me to first, man. Would have been 12 G's, but he fouled out of the game with like 4 minutes left. I was just like, no. And he was balling. He went for 40-something. I mean, he gave me 40-something. Can I really be that upset? I can't. But, yeah, the price is up now, so I would prefer someone to be out. He did play 29 minutes in one game with Conley there. He did, but we'll have to see. Not a ton else that I'm interested in on the Utah side. Let's go to the next game. We got 2 left here. We got Golden State versus Phoenix. Golden State versus Phoenix. We've got a 226.5 total. Phoenix are 7-point favorites at home. The Warriors have had a day off. Phoenix has had a day off as well. They are on a 4-6 stretch. Revenge spot for Marquise Chris. I was a little aggressive with his minutes, but it's also because of the spot. If DeAndre Ayton plays, they're still bad against centers. If DeAndre Ayton is out, they're even worse because they have Cheick Diallo, who played 39 minutes against the Lakers. So, yeah, Marquise Chris, I think, is in play even at these prices. He's played really well over his last couple games, man. He looks good. He's doing dirty. They're starting at center, and he's playing well. Draymond Green's price is down. Only got 31 minutes in that last game, and it was relatively close, so I'm a little concerned that they're just not going to play him more than that. If they were going to play him full, like 33 even, we know the usage for him could be decent. Him playing did result in Bowman not playing very much. Poole got good minutes, and he's been playing better, so that's a situation you have to kind of like go back and forth with. We have Kai Bowman's minutes down because in the last game they were really down. He played more when Draymond was out. Maybe Draymond is playing more point guard. It looks like Jordan Poole played a little bit more last time out, and he's been playing better. So that's a situation to monitor. Andrew Wiggins hasn't done a ton, and he got 34 minutes in the last game, which is great, but he's still Andrew Wiggins. So on the Golden State side, it was mainly Marquise Chris, and maybe one of these value plays emerged for us. Kevon Looney, you could take a shot on just because of how bad these guys are against centers. And we know Looney has the ability to do something, right? Let me see. Looney, 16 minutes, 14 minutes. He hasn't done shit. Oh, I mean, he against Brooklyn, 18 minutes for 23. He could do something like that. He's gotten 14 minutes and 16 minutes. Looks like, oh, he hasn't played since the 10th? Oh, yeah, it was 2 days ago. He didn't do shit those days. But he's 3,100. Risk. Ugly. Not a ton that I like here. Except for Marquise Chris. I do like Chris. On the Phoenix side, Golden State not nearly as fast as they used to be, right? Phoenix ain't either, though. They don't really run. Well, let's take a look at Golden State's pace. Maybe I'm full of shit on that. They're 13th. So, like, they're still, like, they're not terrible, but they're not, or 12th. I'm sorry, they're 12th. But not as, like, they used to be, like, what, top 5 every year, right? So a little slower, but not terrible. The Suns have definitely picked up their pace recently. They started out the season real slow. They picked up their pace recently. But looking at Oubre came off the bench with Ayton out. If that's going to happen, that's going to affect Oubre's minutes because he's missing them starting shit. I understand why they're doing it. They want to have one of him and Booker or somebody on that second unit. But if he's going to come off the bench, that's going to affect his minutes. As of right now, I'm assuming I got Ayton is in for now, and we'll change accordingly after if we get news. So if Ayton's in, I expect Oubre to start again. And I think that was really what it was. They were just really worried about their second unit. So even so, I mean, on FanDuel, it's a little nicer. Oubre at 7.3 is not projecting great, but we have the minutes elevated. Booker, I think, is in play on both sides. Ricky Rubio has been a disaster, and his minutes have been down. I got him for 29 and change, rounding up to 30, but something to monitor. DeAndre Ayton, if he's in, it's a smash spot, no doubt, against Golden State. He's expensive as all hell, but it's a smash spot. Anyway, he's been playing monster minutes. I don't think he's going to play, to be honest with you. I don't want to make that decision for everyone else. That's why I have him in the projections for now, because he is questionable. But if he's out, Check Diallo's 5K. But if Check Diallo is going to play those kind of minutes, first of all, on FanDuel at 3.7, I'm good with Check regardless. On DraftKings, he's 5K. If they're going to play him 39 minutes or some crazy shit, I understand they did it against the Lakers because they had to. The Lakers are a big team. But maybe they'd be open to doing that again. I mean, Golden State's not that big a team, but I mean, shit, if they do that again, that'd be pretty wild. Now, Golden State, again, they can go small. They could even put Draymond at the 5 if they want to go real small ball. And Phoenix can do something like that. They might even prefer that. But check that out. 39 minutes against the Lakers. That was crazy. Again, that was a big team, very, very big team. They always have a big guy on the court, so they needed someone. And they don't got no other bigs. Literally, Diallo's the only big they have on the team right now. So with that said, because of that fact, I'll play him regardless if Ayton is out. We got one more game left. Lakers in Denver. Should be a pretty interesting one. Game being in Denver. Two good teams in the West, right? We've got a what we got here? We have a 220.5 total. Denver, we know, is one of the slower teams out there, and they play pretty good defense generally. Lakers are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Both teams working with a day off. For me, it's the same every day with the Lakers, man. I very rarely try to guess with the KCPs and Avery Bradleys and all this shit. If everybody's healthy, it's AD or LeBron or both. I don't think I want both in this particular matchup. I mean, this could be an overtime type game where I could regret saying that shit, but assuming it's just a full 48, I expect this to be one of the slower games that the Lakers are a part of. Against Denver, there's altitude. I like AD. I like LeBron. Which one I like more? I'm kind of on the fence. now that the pricing is kind of elevated on both. 10K for AD, 10.6 for LeBron. Not sure. I mean, AD is the one who I trust more to score the points, and Millsap's been coming off the bench. He's been playing really well, but with Millsap not getting 30 minutes, like there's a good chunk where Denver's just getting smashed by bigs because Jokic. So I lean a little bit towards AD, but I often do. But it's really LeBron or AD for me. Kyle Kuzma if you want to get cute. Rajon Rondo if you want to get cute. You can test out the centers, Howard and McGee if you want to get cute. But on an 11-game slate, this is just not the spot that I want to get cute. You know what I mean? On the Denver side of the ball, Torrey Craig, an interesting value play. I think Jamal Murray at 7K has been playing extremely well. We know, what's his name? Will Barton has been out, and he's expected to be out again. Paul Millsap, man, I don't know what to do with this guy. He's playing like 19 minutes off the bench, and he's just smashing. Like, he's like, has anybody noticed? This guy's been fucking going nuts. He's on a minutes limit. He played 18 minutes the first game, 19 the second. Against Phoenix, 18 minutes off the bench, had a 27.3% usage rate, went for 33.75 DraftKings points. Against the Spurs, he played 19 minutes, had a 36.1% usage rate, went for 43.25 DraftKings points. Like, what the hell? Like, there's nobody on the second unit, so he's just doing everything. When he gets in that game, he's just going nuts. Like, what do we do with this shit? And now he's like, now when we missed the boat, now he's like in the fives, like 5'2" and 5'4". I don't know, man. I might have to do something to make sure we play him at least a little bit, right? Like, I don't want to project him as the top play, but we might have to get a little something. Maybe put him and Jokic, like put a rule, don't play them together or something. But he's been dominating that second unit usage. And then Jokic, man. He's been getting big minutes, especially with Millsap limited. They still kind of need him to play big minutes. He's been getting it. He's got Jamal Murray there to take away some of the usage, but if it's a close game at the end of the day, you know he's going to be in, and it's going to come down to him. He should be one of the rebound leaders on his team. Triple-double potential, upside. So Jokic is actually very interesting to me in like a marquee matchup, right? Teams like to get up for LeBron and whatnot. Okay. Shaky Jake. Appreciate it, man. Shaky Jake says, Oubre was being punished for missing the bus. He will start tonight regardless if Aiden plays or not. Good to know. So I'll leave his minutes where they are. I appreciate it. And we'll confirm. So that's going to do it for the Game by Game Nation. I appreciate you guys. If you guys could hit that like button, I see a bunch of you in here. Likes are a little low considering. Follow us on Twitter at @wise_take. I'm gonna do some stuff in the back end. Had a late start today, but we're gonna make our projections for you today for you guys. I know we didn't hit the like goal. If you missed the beginning of the show, we did not hit the like goal yesterday. A little disappointed, but it's the last real slate before the break. You guys have been you guys really have been great, and your support and hitting the likes and trying to spread the message. So we appreciate you. We'll make our projections free at WiseTake.com. Again, this is a sheet, just a visual, but the numbers within there are the projections themselves, the projections I use, the ones I make. Use them however you want. If you want to upload them into the optimizer that you use, that's fine. If you would rather just use it to kind of go through and see who's grading what point per dollar. They will change throughout the day. I'm constantly making adjustments as we do some research. I'm constantly going in and out. So follow us on WiseTake on Twitter at @wise_take. That's when we will announce when the projections are officially free on the site. I just have to do a couple things on the site in order to get you guys all the access. So it'll be free for today, and that's it. I appreciate you guys. You guys have been real supportive. Hopefully I see you all back for the NBA Wise stream, which is our flagship show. Starting 2 hours prior to lock, it'll be another game by game like this after we have some updates, some injuries, and then the second hour we bring on Paulie. After the All-Star break, we have some guests lined up, so that should be fun. We're going to start incorporating some other people to do some three-mans for that last hour of the show. Incorporate different people from different places and get some different perspectives. So we're looking forward to it, man. It should be a lot of fun. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at @wise_take. That's where we will announce when the projections are ready for you guys to go take a look at. Right now, they're just behind the paywall. I just have to get that restriction lifted. We'll do that for a day. You guys will have the access today for FanDuel and DraftKings. Use them how you will. Again, if you're going to use them in an optimizer or whatever, you want to check them. The later you check them, the better. I don't want to put you guys in a weird spot. I'll be on the show right later, so you'll see when as I'm adjusting. You guys will hear it and all that. But get them late because I'm making adjustments all the way up until the end. These are the ones I use. I do the same thing. I upload them into the optimizer that I use, which for me personally is Fantasy Cruncher, and then that's how I'm building my teams that night. So I rely heavily on these. So I will be working on them all throughout the day as we get news. With that said, you guys are great as always. I appreciate you. please hit the like button. And hit me up on Twitter. Say what's up. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, we'll see you guys for the Wise stream later. And as always, good luck.